All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, once again here to MaxSpeedTV. We have a good race for you here tonight. Corvettes. We're going to be racing here at Michigan in the Roaring Thunder Racing League. Before we get into all of the good racing information, though, we always want to thank all the sponsors. Here's Jason Allison, go around there. WallsBeardCo.com. Make sure you check these guys out. They have some great beard products, some organic stuff. Make sure you check them out. Again, WallsBeardCo.com. SimSpeedShop.com. We have some stuff in the works with them, so make sure you check them out for some button boxes and for some e-brakes if you do some rallycross racing. Again, that is SimSpeedShop.com. HomeNet Hosting and PC Repair. Again, if you need a league website, make sure you check them out. And if you just need some PC repair done, make sure you check them out for that as well. They will give you a month free, and they will waive all the fees to get you started if you mention you heard it here on MaxSpeedTV. Elite 7 Racing, they are the official dirt team of MaxSpeedTV. They have some great racing going on. Make sure you check them out at Elite7Racing.com. And last but not least, Ohio IndyCar League. If you're looking to get into that league, they are no longer strictly to Ohio club members. You can get in there for some great IndyCar racing. Josh Medlock will be covering that. Actually, I believe they've already started. They started at 6:30, I do believe, so about an hour ago. So hopefully you'll tune in here, but pull up in another browser, watch that one as he is broadcasting that race here for a little bit more time. Again, we're watching the Roaring Thunder Racing League here, Corvettes, but we do have our normal guest in the booth with us here, and of course that is Jeff Stabnell. So Jeff, welcome to the booth once again here on a Saturday night.
Hey, thank you, Charles. Glad to be here. Excited to see these Corvettes go around Michigan here. Not sure what to expect here. Maybe it's going to be a lot like Daytona. It looks like the draft's going to matter, so glad to be here with you.
Yeah, and you got to play a little bit with these cars. I may have been slacking off playing a little Minecraft today, but regardless, you were the one out there doing the hard work, so we appreciate that. As again, I was kind of slacking here today, but to pull up our a little race analyst here. Not sure on the laps as far as tire window or fuel window, so we are unknown on that at the moment. But it's 100 laps here, 200 miles. Pit road is 55 miles an hour. So based on your practicing around here, how is the tire wear from the practice you got in?
So I didn't have a whole lot of time. I did a half a fuel run. I burned about a half tank off the cart, which was about 30 laps, maybe 29, and tire wear really wasn't that bad. Didn't really notice it that much in those first 30 laps. Maybe it started pushing just a little bit tighter, but we were pretty much able to keep the pedal mashed that whole 30 laps, so didn't really seem to be a problem.
Also, tire wear not really going to be an issue here there, and you said you did a fuel run, a half a fuel run, about 29 to 30 laps, so really that means they're going to average 50 to 60 laps on fuel on a run with a 100-lap race. That's one pit stop. That is not very many pit stops here, considering if the tires don't wear off, if we don't have any cautions, this race could go all the way green, and that is going to make it interesting, as I don't think we saw it last race, seeing actually green flag pit stops. These cars obviously make it a little bit easier because they do have that pit road limiter that slows them down to the correct speed and doesn't let them speed on pit road, but you can still get a speeding penalty. You have to choose to use that, and if you don't, you still can get caught speeding, as they're doing a little pit party right now.
Yeah, absolutely do, and if you're an oval guy, you're not used to having that pit limiter, so half the time you don't even start kicking yourself about it until after you've already got that black flag.
Yeah, and that's it can be unfortunate if you do get caught speeding on pit road. There's only 13 drivers here tonight, so you know, even at the worst of that, it's going to be tail end of the longest line, so it's not going to hurt you too terribly bad. I wouldn't condone doing it. You know, I still don't want to be at the back, but if it does happen, it won't be very much of a penalty per se, as they're still out there doing a pit party. interesting enough, I want to point this out here while these guys are sitting here doing a pit party. We have to give them a little bit of a harassing, whatever you want to call it. Right there, the fastest car in the session is none other than the 03 of Rudy Cummings. So the owner of MaxSpeedTV out driving a race here tonight. So it's awesome to see him back behind the wheel, and we'll see how he stacks up here tonight.
So we're gonna call it straight, Carl or Charles? We gonna call it like we see it tonight, or do we gotta be a little careful here and keep your job?
No, I am not concerned for my job one bit. We're calling this as it is. If he messes up, we're calling it as is. And another one, this one we may have to be a little nicer to. That is the 28 of Jason Allison, our graphic person that helps us with our overlays. He's actually in the middle of working on stuff for us right now, taking a break to race. So we may have to be a little nice to him if we want to get him done here in a timely manner. So we might be nice to him. Rudy, we're just gonna rake him over the coals if he does something bad.
I think he'd do the same if he was in your shoes, Charles. So sounds like a fair plan.
I think he probably would too. I know he would. That is, kind of the base of MaxSpeedTV here. We call it as he is. We don't call blame on too many people. At least we try not to. But we call it as is. If you wreck up, you fess up. That's just the way it is. And he's doing a pretty good job. So is Jason Allison right now, as they're doing another pit party here. Got about 3 minutes to go. They're 4 wide, so this could get very interesting here tonight.
Yeah, it really could. And just to touch on a point that you had a little bit earlier on that field window, I don't remember, Charles, but I thought they had a fuel restriction here. So we may have a shorter fuel window if they're running a restriction of fuel.
And
go ahead.
Well, being that they are only running 100 laps, they may be running 50% fuel to 75. I'm not sure on that. I know it is in the iRacing thing. I just can't see it, of course. But they may indeed have a shorter fuel window.
Yeah, this should be exciting. We've got some pack racing. I think maybe it looks like they can run pretty much 3 and 4 wide here in Michigan. We know Michigan's a real wide track. There's a good 4 lanes on there. And the little bit that I drove this, you could pretty much drive this car anywhere you want. There's a lot of downforce on this car. Has a lot of speed. Definitely looking at some of the speeds they're hitting in lap times. The draft is mattered. They're picking up a lot of drafting. So, we could have some pretty exciting, maybe even 4 or 5 wide racing here tonight.
Yeah, definitely interesting to say the least. This is probably one of the few leagues out here that, we're looking at 13 drivers. Typically you want to see at least 20, 25 because people are going to wreck out. But, with it being only 13, you don't really notice it because they're all kind of together. They don't get real spread out here too terribly much. And as you're seeing right now, there's 3 wide here battling here what, kind of would be the lead because these are some of the fast guys. As Jason Allison just took the fastest time, but it was in draft. Is, again, 3-4 wide. And I expect to see that for the lead. I bet we'll go 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide at some points here during this race. The question is, will they be able to hang on to it?
Well, and the other thing to pay attention to too here is, in this draft, I'm not sure how these cars, how much draft they pick up from how far, but if you're in a cup car or truck or something like that, you've got to be careful if you scrape a wall or something and get to the back of that pack as far as hanging on to that draft. Maybe a second back from the pack or something like that, you've lost it. That just kills you, and you're just waiting for the cars to come around and lap you. So, if these guys are running 4 and 5 wide and getting up near that wall, that'll definitely be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it's there. We're seeing a little bit of a wreck there. Somehow somebody may have been able to squeeze through there. But again, it's going to be a long race, 100 laps. We got about 20 seconds left here in practice. Normally we'd go ahead and get to the national anthem, but with only 13 cars, these guys are going to get it knocked out fairly quick. So we'll actually get to the national anthem after qualifying. They'll get this knocked out, and we'll go to that. And before we come back to the Walls Beard Co. starting grid, it's going to be interesting here to see. We have our graphic designer and our owner of MaxSpeedTV up here, and they're sitting 1 and 3 right now in practice. So this could get interesting. And I believe Charles Smith is also a commentator here. He's actually helped Rudy. So very interesting to see those 3 particular people out front.
Yeah, you've got the whole MaxSpeedTV family here tonight, so fun one.
Yes, this is going to be a real fun one. As it looks like Jim Whaley Jr. is going to be the first one out, but again, everybody's coming out very quickly here. These guys don't play around, and they have a 10-minute window to do it as the green flag is officially out. So 10 minutes to run 3 laps, I believe, is what they get. Might be 2, but you know, not very many laps, but it's enough to kind of get a feel for what it's going to be. And as far as your fastest speed by yourself, again, once they get into these packs and they start racing side by side and back to bumper to bumper, I have a feeling we're going to see some probably low 39s, maybe a high 38.
Yeah, we saw some low 39s when they were running around there, so let's see what happens when they get in a nice single file line. It'll be interesting to see who's working with who. You know, if you help a guy out and you're doing some drafting here to get to the top of the board, you may just be helping somebody get ahead of you.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily want to help them get ahead of you, but, you know, with any type of racing where there's drafting going on, you have to keep in mind that if you help someone early, they may help you later on in the race if they don't think they have a shot to win. But they definitely think you do. If you leave someone out to dry and send them to the back, they're going to remember that.
So, you know, when we're qualifying here, one of the things, if you're drafting it, you're trying to do is you're trying to be the trail car. And you get just about as big of a gap as you can to the car in front of you when you cross that start-finish line, just enough so it's going to suck you up. And sometimes you can pick up like 3/10 that way, 4/10 on the car that you're actually drafting with. So it'll be, you know, we'll have to see if you're the lead car. Do you manage that gap? Do you maybe check up just a little bit to make sure somebody doesn't quite get that big run on you if you've already laid your time down? Those are all things to keep in mind here.
Yeah, and I want to correct myself. I apologize. It's been a long week here working on a lot of stuff, new website coming in, all of that great stuff that I have been sidetracked. This is open qual, so they actually just have 10 minutes to qualify as we're actually watching them draft here in qualifying. So my apologies. It's again been a long week working on the brand new MaxSpeedTV website, trying to get that out this week or this coming week. But they are actually going to be running open qual here, so we will actually see some faster times here since they can draft with each other.
Yeah, and we're actually seeing that. I'm watching the 98 of Noah Lewis here, and boy, I can't even tell which car that is
It's
right now.
the 14 of Jeremy Horn.
Yeah, these guys have been doing just what we're talking about, where the trail car's been dropping back there a little bit and catching up. They run a lap, then they switch places. So, definitely those two are working together.
It is indeed. Interesting enough, we haven't seen Rudy come out onto the track yet. Hopefully he will come out soon. He did say he might not make it. You know, it's been a long race. He just got done broadcasting the Laura Truck Series. So he had to go get him some coffee. He may be a little worn out after that race of that long broadcast, but if he does race, it'd be kind of interesting, as I personally have never got to watch him actually do a race. So I'm kind of hoping he can make it here into the actual race. As it looks like Simon Thorns is going to take 5th place from Jason Allison here in qualifying.
Looks like we've got a 3-car pack coming together. They haven't formed up in a single file line yet, though, so I'm looking at Charles Smith here right now. And looks like they're getting ready to do some laps together. 3 cars, I think, would be a little faster than 2.
Yes, that definitely would be, and that's what you're going to do. And surprisingly enough, like you were talking about earlier, the trail car, it's not the car out front that is the faster car. He's actually breaking the air up and making the hole into the air, and the people behind him are the ones that usually benefit from it. You know, they're out there and they don't have, their car has no resistance per se, because the car in front of them is the one taking the brunt of all the resistance from the air, and it's just like a giant vortex hole for them to just kind of follow right along. So like you were talking about, that the trail cars behind are the ones that get the faster laps.
Yeah, typically, and it's a fine line there. How far back can you get, and then you know the maximum suck up that'll have in that lap. But yeah, you can hang back maybe a half a second or so when you cross that start finish line, and then use that draft to suck right up to that car in front of you. Yeah, the two of you are still going a little faster than a single car would, because you are splitting up some of that air. That's the lead car doesn't have to take the brunt of that, doesn't have so much necessarily coming down on the rear. And then that trail car gets, like we said, just gets to close that gap.
Yeah, and it looks like they're really starting to form up now. We got the 14, the 28, and someone else is in there trying to find out who it is. I believe it's the 80 of John Estes. They were starting to really form up there, and just looking here, it looks like Rudy has called it a night. He has left TeamSpeak with us, so it looks like he is not going to make it. That's a little saddening for me. I was really looking forward to seeing him race, but you can't blame him. He's had a long broadcast, and he just does not like sitting in that chair for hours on end, as most people don't.
Yeah, maybe he heard you say you were going to call it like you saw it, but all kidding aside, it is a little disappointing to see Rudy have to leave there. He was top of the board in practice, and we were certainly looking forward to seeing that. Yeah,
I think he would have put on a good show for us here. We still have Allison in here. Again, he's taking a break from working on some new stuff for the overlay, so that is a new thing to mention while we have people out here watching. New little graphics going to be coming to the overlays to help out the sponsors a little bit. We are going to take the sponsor logos out of the bar up at the top, and when we talk about them, we're actually going to have them pop up and fade in and out in the middle of the screen here, so that you can get a good idea. We're going to be putting some websites in there if they have them, just a little bit more to you know, help out the sponsors just a little bit, and you know, promote them just a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. You know, we all know that it's the sponsors that make all these broadcasts possible. So we thank all the guys that help sponsor us. We hope you go out there and visit their websites, buy their products, anything you can, if you enjoy watching this, to say thanks to our sponsors. And pretty excited to see the new graphics.
Yeah, it's definitely a something we've been trying to work on for a little bit. We're kind of procrastinating just a little bit, but we are going to get it out there. Hopefully by tomorrow's race we'll have it there. We'll be debuting it, so a lot of new stuff coming. Again, the new website, we aren't officially releasing it yet. We still have some work to do on it, but a lot of new stuff coming here to MaxSpeedTV, whether it's in the overlays, into the website. We're going to be putting out a lot of new stuff here. Always trying to move forward. That is the goal. So that being said here, one, if you're new to MaxSpeedTV on the chat watching this race, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more racing. Definitely, if you like this race so far here in qualifying, hit the thumbs up. And definitely, if you want to get into MaxSpeedTV as a sponsor and get your business some exposure, hit us up at MaxSpeedTV.com or on Facebook at MaxSpeedTV. But that being said, that is going to just about do it. We got a minute left, so we're going to get to the national anthem, and we'll be right back with your starting grid here in just a minute.
We take you down onto the track for our opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Please remove your hats.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? who's brought stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, they are getting the checkered flag here in qualifying. So that means up next is your starting grid presented by Walls Beard Co. As there it is right there, gridding is underway. So again, we're going to get to it as soon as they take to the grid anyway. Everyone is getting set and starting on the track. You know, it'd be interesting, it'd be cool if they started on pit road. But they start on the track here. It's always cool when they do come out of pit road. That's how they typically do it. But not here at Michigan International Speedway. So without further ado, here, well, we'll wait about a minute or so. They're just about to start rolling off. There they are. So your Walls of Beard Co. starting grid is going to be like this. Row 1 is going to be Charles Smith in the number 12. And on his outside is the number 51 of Paul Cohen. Row 2 is going to be Stephen Leffler in third. And on the outside is going to be Jeremy Horn in fourth in that number 14 machine. Row 3 is going to be James Capehart in the number 49 machine. And on his outside in the number 80 in sixth place is going to be John Estes. Row 4 is going to be in seventh place. I'm not sure what his number is. It's white number there. Simon Thorne. So that is actually the 57. And the number 98 in 8th place of Noah Lewis. Row 5 is going to be the 28 of Jason Allison. And on his outside in 10th is the 3 of Jeff Dotson. Row 6 is going to be in the number 33, Mark Koshik. And the 46 in 12th place of Jim Whaley Jr. And that is going to do it. Rudy Cummings is not going to be starting here tonight, unfortunately. So that was your Walls Beard Co. starting grid. And we are just one lap away from getting the green flag.
All right, Charles, as is tradition, who are you going to take this race?
This is a tough one. Again, it's only our second race with these guys. I think I'm going to have to go with Charles Smith here.
All right. I think I'll have to go with Jason Allison. I've run with him before, and he's pretty good at this stuff.
Well, it will be determined here in 100 laps as we are on lap 1 of 100 right now. Green flag is in the air, and they've already started to single file out here in the front. As we'll pull up the driver bar for you, Charles Smith is out front, but he's being trailed very closely by Stephen Leffler in the 72. And now they're really starting to mix it up again as here comes the 49 of James Capehart.
Yeah, it looks like we got a little bit of side drafting going on there. 72 riding right there on that rear quarter panel of the 12. Obviously doesn't have somebody in front of him to cut the air, so he's actually trying to force a little bit more air onto that rear end of the 12 by planting his car there and actually slow the 12 down.
He is indeed, and it looks like they're 3 wide for the lead. We figured this would happen as they went 3 wide for about 10 seconds there as Charles Smith's trying to regain the lead here. Once again, he's led 1 lap so far. Stephen Leffler, and we got somebody going around. That is Jeff Dotson in the 3 going around. No caution out, though.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it here, see if I can't see what happened.
Well, that is unfortunate. We'll stay up here at the front pack, but yeah, definitely let us know what happened there. I'm not sure if he just got loose or if he had some help. These guys are really starting to get dicey up here at the front. While you're looking that up here, they are really not settling down too much. I figured they would kind of take it easy the first couple of laps, but no such luck here at the early start of this race.
Yeah, I still haven't figured out what happened to Jeff Dotson there. Yeah, definitely a lot of 3-wide, 4-wide racing here. Again, you know, we talked about being able to get that run as the trail car, so it's really easy to get that run and not want to lay off that gas. And if you can make another lane, you definitely do it.
Yeah, definitely don't. And we got Rudy in chat with us and not feeling well. He has not felt good all week, so definitely go get better. That is more important. Health is more important than any race or any broadcast. So hopefully he will get better. As once again, 3 wide for the lead. Jeremy Horn, Stephen Leffler, and Charles Smith. These guys are just not giving up. But you talked about it earlier, how you can pretty much run wherever you want, and they're proving that right now as they're taking it 3 wide for the lead, or at least they were for a split second there.
Yeah, you can, I mean, there's 4 distinct lanes here, and quite frankly, there's the apron, too, if you wanted to make it 5, and run around this car stick just fine on every lane. The difference, though, is that, you know, the further away you are from the inside of the track, it's much further around this thing. You lose a lot of time in the corner, so I think the difference between the inside line and the 4th line up, for me, was about 3/4 of a second when you're not in a draft, so... Now, if you're going to work that outside, you're going to need some cars up there packed tightly, and definitely have to maximize that draft if you're going to hang that far outside.
Yeah, you definitely are. And I did hear earlier, so it would be a max of 4. Jeff Dotson, somebody asked it, and he said no apron. So they are actually not allowed to use the apron at all. I guess some leagues allow you to, some don't, but he specified no apron here. I'm not sure, I say that, I'm not sure if he was referring to don't go down there, it's dangerous, or if he was telling them they are not allowed to use it. And so far, nobody has used it. There it is, Rudy is letting us know in chat that the rules say they can't pass below the white line, so that is a typical NASCAR rule, and they are using that here, so you cannot actually use the apron.
Well, and I wonder, too, if it's just you can't pass or if you can't use it at all. It sounds like you just can't pass below the white line, in which case, in the few test laps I was running, there was plenty of grip down there, and I was able to actually cut down onto that apron just coming off that corner a little bit and pick up a little more speed going down that straightaway.
Yeah, that is interesting. We'll have to clarify that. If we do get a caution, we'll find out from Jeff Dotson if you're just not allowed to go down there at all, or if you can't pass down there. Is, you know, we haven't seen anyone going below the white line, so it's going to be interesting. I'm not sure which one it is, but definitely nobody's using it right now. As you know, we talked about only 12 cars here in the race, but you wouldn't know it by looking at this group pack, pack here up at the front. Just about everybody's within a good, I'd say, probably a 0.5 of each other here for the race.
Yeah, everybody except for the 3-car Jeff Dotson, who lost that draft when he spun out. I was able to see it, and it looked like him and the 80 car of John Estes just came off the corner there, and were both looking for the same piece of real estate. So they just got into each other. Nobody got loose or was sliding around first, and that sent the 3-car of Jeff Dotson spinning. So he's about a half a lap down now, maybe even 3/4, and in danger of getting lapped here in a few laps.
Yeah, he is 27 seconds off with running 39-second laps. That is only about, now it's 28, so only about 10 seconds off. So he is definitely in a danger zone. As it looks like somebody's going to get pushed up. That's the 49 of James Capehart. He got a little bit of a bump there. That was a square-on bump. They just kind of tapped cars there. but that pushed him up the track, and he was going to lose a spot there to the 57, I believe it was, of Simon Thorns, but Simon Thorns actually got passed right back by him, so it's not going to slow him down any. These cars can take a little bit of a beating before they are undrivable.
Yeah, but there's a difference between undrivable and aerodynamic damage here. I was able to look at Jeff Dotson's car, and he's about 2 seconds off of what you would expect him to be off running solo. You would expect maybe a high 39 or a low 40. And, I mean, he's running 41.5 second laps right now. But he's got his splitter up in the air, and looks like his door's caved in a bit.
Yeah, and these cars, they're very finicky cars. Keeping in mind, these are not oval cars. They are intended for road racing, so you don't want to damage them at all. They are very high precision cars, and, you know, it's not saying that something like a NASCAR is not a high precision car, but these cars, some of these are upwards of like $2, $3, $4, even more $1,000 cars. They are designed for doing one thing, and that's road racing. That's not what they're doing here today.
Well, and then when you get into a draft like this too, there's a couple things that you really pay attention to. So you got that rear spoiler in this draft, and the higher you get that up in the air, so any damage that pushes that rear end up, which pretty much any time you get rear ended that'll happen, is going to catch more air, and it's going to slow you down. The more air you catch, the slower you're going to be. And then in the front as well, anything that bends that splitter up is going to let more air underneath the vehicle as opposed to over it. And if it starts going underneath the vehicle, you can lose some traction, but it'll also start pushing the vehicle up a little bit, and again, you'll catch more air and be slow. So front spoiler and the rear splitter are two areas that you really got to pay attention to.
Yeah, they are. And just to give an update real fast here on the drivers we picked, the driver, of course, I picked right there, that is the 12 of Charles Smith. He's out front, but not for long is Jason Allison, your pick, running side by side with him for the lead. So there are the two cars we picked battling it for the lead.
I'm sure there's plenty of good drivers in here that know what they're doing. But Jason Allison, I've raced with him a couple of times, and he definitely knows how to work the draft. So looks like he's doing it too.
Yeah, and interesting, people don't know, is he does the graphics, but he doesn't always keep his iRacing renewed. So he does have it renewed, obviously, right now. So he works a ton. He's hardly ever on. It's very hard to get a hold of him. But when you can, you get the work done you need done. But right now he is, again, taking a break from that. And for someone who doesn't get on iRacing a lot, doesn't always even have an active iRacing account, you wouldn't know about the way he's driving, as he's given Charles Smith, one of the veterans in this league, a run for his money. But so is Jeremy Horn. He's coming in right now, currently in fourth, as they're almost 3 wide there for a second. And the 57 of Simon Thorns, any of these guys, I would say in the top 4, even the top 6, 7, could possibly win this race still.
Well, and what's interesting too with what Jason's got going on right now is one of the things about the draft is you talked earlier about the resistance. The lead car breaks up the resistance, so the cars that tuck in behind them in the draft, the more you get, the tighter they get, the more that resistance they can share, and the faster that line can go. And you've got a nice 4-car line on that inside there, and now we've got 3 on the outside that are pretty tight. But when we were talking earlier, Jason, just like, you know, right now again, was doing a lot of that just by himself, just hanging up there with a little bit of side draft. So he's doing a heck of a job up there.
Yes, indeed. Getting behind a car here is kind of, in my weird point of view, it's kind of like the buffet line. You know, you get behind the person that gets behind the good line that has all the good food there, and everybody gets behind them because of that, and it makes it even faster. You get through it quicker. In that case, usually you don't go through faster, but you know, everybody wants to be where the fast one is, you know, or the good food is. In this case, the fast lane. You get 1 or 2 cars getting there, they go a little faster. A third one gets in there, then it goes even faster, and everyone wants to be in that lane so that they can move forward and go even faster and get to the front.
Well, and then usually the higher you up, because you're running these things flat out and it's around the draft, the higher lanes are a little bit further around the track. So the higher up the track you are, the more cars you need to make it work.
Yes, indeed. And we've had probably several lead changes here. Let's take a look. We've had 3 lead changes, no caution, still 84 laps to go. Again, this is a 2-mile track here at Michigan International Speedway. But only 18 laps, so we've completed 17. We're on lap 18 at the moment, as Jason Allison's going to fall all the way back to 6th place now. So, it's almost like running Daytona with these cars. You get out of line and you lose several spots.
Oh, I think this is exactly like running Daytona for these cars, or probably even a better example would be Talladega, where you can get a little bit wider with that race in 3-4 lines, but it looks like the same thing here. And just another point to add here, since we're starting to get up there on the laps, I did confirm we have a 70% fuel restriction, or 75% fuel restriction, so we'll take our 60-lap estimate there and say probably around 38 to 40 laps we should start looking for these guys to be getting low on fuel here.
Yeah, and being that we have gone so far already here, we are on lap 19 and we have not seen any cautions. We did see a car spin, but it didn't bring out a caution. This track is so wide, with only 12 drivers on the track. These drivers have to keep that in mind, that it may not throw a yellow. So you can't count on that. You could short pit and count on a caution to put everyone a lap down, or whatever your strategy may be. That is probably not going to be the best strategy here tonight, as I am beginning to wonder if we're going to have any cautions at all. Maybe one here. So, trying to trap everyone a lap down due to cautions, or a caution coming out, I don't think is the best strategy here.
Well, and if we do get some green flag pit stops, one thing about Michigan that is different than, let's say, Daytona or Talladega, is you enter the pits on the corner. It's real hard to get that thing slowed down and maximize that time if you're doing green flag pits here at Michigan. To try not to be too slow too early, to try not to come screaming in there too fast. So green flag pit stops could really get this pack spread out, and then that could really change the complexion of the things, obviously, as this is a real draft-dependent track.
It is indeed. And just like you were talking about, it makes you wonder here, if any of these drivers are talking to each other, say, all right, I'm going to come into pit. Are they talking with each other? Are they helping each other out? All of that stuff, we don't know. We can't talk to these drivers here, and we definitely don't want to try to interfere with them here during the race. If we get a caution, we'll talk to a driver, as they're still trying to make it 3 wide for the lead. And it is working, but I just don't think the top line really has enough momentum right now. There's nobody pushing it, but they're actually trying to make it 3 wide, 2 or 3 deep here for just a second there.
Yeah, and typically, as far as talking there, when you're running one of these races, unless you've got a teammate you work closely with, pit stops are one of those things you play close to your best. With the draft, you want a partner here, but are you going to just try to run this thing all the way out of fuel, 38, 40 laps, or are you going to try to split this up into 3 segments at 33, 34 laps? Somebody going to pit with you, or are you going to pit thinking somebody else might come and get hung out like we saw with Jeff Dotson there and go a lap down?
Yeah, and what you can't count on is a caution coming out for tires. Somebody spinning out, whatever. We did see Jeff Dotson do it, where you went back and looked at that, but you talked about it early in this race. Tire wear is not that big of an issue in this race. You can run anywhere. You got a lot of grip. These tires aren't falling off like you might see in some, like the truck series. With those NASCAR trucks, and some of the tracks are a little better. But so, long story short, tire wear not an issue. So I don't see anybody spinning out. So you can't count on holding out and someone bringing out that caution because of tire wear. This is really going to be a fuel strategy game, I think. To how can you outsmart and outwit everyone on pit strategy for fuel.
Well, and I think it's going to be how skillful you can pit strategy, too. If you come in with a buddy of yours and 2 of you pit together, there's going to be a lot of time made up or lost getting into pit road? When did you slow down? How fast were you going when you hit the cone? Was the guy you're going to draft with, because he's who you're going to end up with, did he do the same?
Yeah.
So that'll be big.
And I really hope, you know, I'm kind of hoping, cross my fingers up here in the booth, that a lot of these guys come down together, because right now, everybody except for, again, Jeff Dotson is up here, as we still have a battle for the lead. We'll check in with Jeff Dotson. Again, he is 1 lap down now, so they did get by him and put him a lap down. As right now, he has not pitted, so everyone is still on old tires. If I was him, I might go ahead and pit here, short pit. He's already a lap down, so why not go ahead and short pit and get some fresh tires and fuel?
Well, I think if we weren't needing somebody to draft with, maybe that would make sense right now. I think the worry there would be going yet another lap down. You just kind of, I'm guessing he's just kind of hanging on, hoping there's a caution that hits before he gets that second lap down, so he can get that car repaired and get back out there. 1 lap, you know, maybe we can get that back with a lucky dog. 2 3 laps, it's not looking like there's going to be a lot of cautions here to get that lap back.
Yes, that is true. I didn't think about that side of things. Again, that's why you're one of the racers, and I'm normally up here in the booth. Again, strategy is going to be the key here, as they are still side by side right now. The 14 of Jeremy Horn and the 72 of Steven Leffler. These guys are just side by side. Neither one of them wanting to give up this lead. As we'll put up our leader bar real fast. Right now, it's being shown for Steven Leffler in the 14, my bad, the 72. Now it's the 14 of Jeremy Horn. So they are literally just trading it back and forth here just about every corner.
Well, and we talked about what might give us our caution, and these guys are doing some pretty serious side drafting here. You'll notice there the 72 car, he just keeps dipping down there to the 14 car's rear quarter panel to try to slow him down so he can, you know, possibly get in front of him. So as these tires start to wear in, it gets harder to maybe hold it on the inside, and guys get a little more aggressive with their side drafting. That may be something that gives us a caution.
It very well could. And again, something that you don't typically think about bringing a caution out, as we're going to switch angles here, is pit stops. You know, you don't think about a pit stop bringing out a caution, but, you know, these guys are this close together still. You know, say someone on the outside decides they want to pit, they have to announce that to the rest of the field and safely get to pit road. And we already talked about how difficult it is to get on pit road here, as it's in a corner there kind of, so it's already tricky. So with this cigars being bunched up like they are, you know, you've got to safely get to pit road without causing a caution.
Yeah, and we talked about how aggressive you're going to have to be. You're going to pit with a partner. You guys are going to come out and end up wherever that slowest car is, more likely than not. And so you're trying to downshift, get through your gears, not spin this thing, not be on the brakes too soon, and, you know, almost be choreographed there with the guy that you're pitting with.
Yeah, and that is key. Good news is, like we talked about earlier, is they have that pit limiter. So, you know, as long as you get that on, you don't have to worry about speeding on pit road. You just kind of set it and hit the gas, and it will keep you right at pit road speed limit. I've seen this before, and hopefully it doesn't happen to any of these guys, is when you come out of pit road, you forget to turn it off. If you do that, when you go to try to get up to speed, if you don't remember that's on, you can't go over pit road speed limit of 55. And until you remember, oh, I got to turn that off, you're going to lose a lot of time.
Well, and the other key to what you said is once you're in the pits, so if you're trying to hit those pits with as much speed as you can, it's real easy to hit that cone already speeding, and your pit limiter is not going to save you on that end either. So you got to get down to speed at the cone, and preferably not too much ahead of that cone.
Yeah, it looks like I was looking through here. We're switched to a different angle here, a little bit further out. The back of this field is kind of single filed out, but the front has not. Those front four are really still pushing it here. And again, if pit window's 38 to 40 laps, somewhere in that range. We're on lap 32 right now, so that window will be coming up here in the next 5 to 6 laps. So that is going to make it interesting. As again, last week we did not see green flag pit stops. We'll see here. It looks like we are going to see green flag pit stops here today. So that's going to change the whole dynamic of this race. Some of these guys that are side by side, we may not see that here after these pit stops. And I want to keep an eye on for is, you know, if you make a pit stop, who's going to do it without announcing it, and somebody's going to try to dive off the pit road and pit with them?
Well, I think we're about to find out. I think we're going to start seeing maybe some cars start pitting here in the next lap or two. I know it's a little ahead of that fuel window, but you know, you got to make 2 stops. So typically when you do that, you'll split it up into to equal stops. So lap 33, lap 34 is when we might start seeing some guys come in.
Yes, indeed. It's going to be interesting. I really don't know how it's going to play itself out here. You know, who's going to pit, when they're going to pit. And what you don't want to do, too, as you talked about earlier, this is a draft-dependent track. You need somebody to work with because of the way these cars handle here. So if you pit all by yourself, you aren't going to have anyone. And you talked about it with Jeff Dotson. He doesn't have anyone to work with right now. So, you know, they probably would have been better off announcing it, say, hey, I'm going to pit in, and let people go with them. If they do that, you know, it'll keep the same grouped up dynamic here of everybody right there together. So it's really just going to be a matter of seeing how it plays itself out. We aren't going to know because we have no radio communication with these guys as to what their plan is.
Well, if you're riding around there in the front, you're absolutely right. You got to start cutting some deals and making a plan with somebody, or know somebody's going to come in with you. You know, on the other hand, if you're riding around there in back, you can just kind of wait for the guy to pit that you want to pit with. Keep an eye on the driver that you feel comfortable working with, and just follow them into pits.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're not, like you said, if you're not too far back, I would say if we look back here till about 6th place, Paul Cohen, he's kind of in the best spot in my opinion. He's kind of far enough back. Even Jason Allison, even maybe Mark Koshik, those guys are far enough back that if they see these leaders starting to pull off, they don't have to immediately hit the brakes and whip it over into pit road. You know, they're far enough back they can kind of see it coming and pit with those leaders, because you want to pit with the leaders, again, in my opinion, to stay with the group, the front group. If you get separated from them and there's 3, 4, 5 cars in the front and you're in the back, you're probably going to lose that draft and really could go down a lap.
Oh, yeah, if you lose the draft, it's going to be real easy to go down a lap or more. Because a lot of times you're so far off pace that when this small little pack of cars comes flying by it, you know, 10 miles an hour faster than you're going, you can't get up to speed in time to latch onto them. So, you know, we've seen that happen a lot of times, so it's pretty important. And I see some cars, or I see an 8-car run on the apron there, so I think we've got our first green flag pit stop here.
You are indeed.
It's a solo at that.
Yeah, Simon Thorne's in the 57. He's going to be the lone car to pull off the pit road. Very interesting call. Not sure. Maybe he didn't announce that he was coming in, or maybe he did and nobody chose to go with him. Either way, that is going to put him a lap down for sure. And unfortunately, he's going to have no help when he comes out.
Yeah, unless this works out to where it's just an exact pit stop sequel to exactly a lap, and he happens to come out with the guys who pit a lap or two later. Yeah, he's going to be in a he's going to be looking for a caution, hoping something groups this back up.
He will indeed. Is right there. He goes a lap down, and none of the leaders are opting to come in right now. They're all staying out. So he is the only one on pit road. And right now, 32-second pit stop. So these are very long pit stops here, too. As one pit stop, is he's still on there, 40-second pit stop. As it took him 41.5 seconds. A lap here is 39.5 seconds to 39.7 seconds with these guys in the draft. So with that being said, you're going to have to come down with the leaders in a group. If you don't, you're automatically a lap down. There's no way around it.
Yeah, and that doesn't count the time that you slow down or the time you got to get back up to speed. When it's all said and done, he lost a full lap and probably about 3/4 of another lap, but and he doesn't have anybody to work with right now. So, you know, we know these guys got a pit, but chances are they're going to come out of that pit and you know, he'll get one lap back, but probably put him back and lap down again.
Yeah, he did. As he actually was in turn 3 there for a second, the leaders were on the backstretch, so he is well off the pace.
Oh, and we got somebody going into the grass there. A couple guys. Looks like green flag pit stops went bad there.
Yes, they did. As we have 3-4 cars spinning around on pit road. That is probably going to be some penalties there for speeding on pit road. As several cars going around. The 51 sitting at the end of pit road. That is Paul Cohen, and somebody is sitting right there in front of him. I'm not sure who that is. Maybe the 28 of Jason Allison. As we'll take a look. Allison is on pit road, so I'm not sure who that was, but somebody was sitting on pit road. Noah Lewis in the 98 having quite a bit of damage too. He is smoking heavily on the pit road right now.
I know we had the 72, the 51, the 49 were all involved in there, and I think there was a couple more cars. It looked to me like the 72 just got a little bit squirrely there when he was trying to come down from the outside lane to the inside lane.
Yeah, that is interesting, but one I wanted to look at now, Simon Thorns, the 57. He came down by himself. That may have been a winning strategy right there. If he can get his lap back, he is now one lap down, but so is 6th place through 10th place right now because of that damage, and they're still on pit road already a lap down, as now Simon Thorns is going to jump to 6th place. So, you know, maybe coming down pit road by yourself was the best strategy to avoid what we just saw.
Yeah, well, who would have thought that it was going to play out that way, you know, as we're still green right now.
We are indeed, and Simon Thorns is back on the lead lap. So he is on the lead lap, sitting in 6th place right now, as everyone has officially made one pit stop. Again, if you getting around, you know, they pitted around 33, 34 laps. I'm thinking they're going to have to pit again.
Yeah, we're pretty sure they're going to have to pit one more time. And, you know, and back to Simon, the only way that really works out for him, I think, is if they wreck, and they wreck on pit road like they did, so nobody comes back out on the track and brings out the yellow flag. Just pretty amazing, but it does appear that it may have worked out for him.
Yeah, indeed. Everyone does have a fast repair here. It looks like about 3, 4, maybe 5 of them are going to have that out of the way, so that is one plus. If he does not, or he has not had to use that fast repair where some of these guys have. So very interesting here to see how it all kind of changes. That is really going to change things up, as everyone's kind of spread out right now. Right now it is Jeremy Horde in the 14 out front. 2nd place is Charles Smith, but he is not the car directly behind him. That is the 98 of Noah Lewis, who just went a lap down. Charles Smith is right now 6.7 seconds out of first. And right now, he was the man. He had led 15 laps, and Jeremy Horn has led 18. So those guys have been trading it back and forth, but now there's a huge gap separating them.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what happened here. We've spread the field out, so we probably got to start looking for some guys that are still bunched up and working together. Those are probably the guys that are going to start overtaking, building this pack back up, make some momentum. But yeah, we've got guys spread out all the way around the track right now.
And it looks like the 14 and the 98 are going to work together here just a little bit, trying to push him there. Again, Noah Lewis is one lap down, but he is pushing the leader here. Charles Smith, will look back to him. He's got some company. He's got, looks like, a few cars behind him. Not exactly sure who's with him. Looks like the 49 is with him. He is also a lap down. That is James Capehart. behind them, and not sure who is just behind him, as we'll see if we can find it now. That is the 51 of Paul Cohen, who's a lap down. So it's very interesting to see. We have lead cars being pushed by lap down cars for first and second.
Yeah, well, right now it's find a partner, right? So the faster you can get grouped up with somebody and start running around this track and manipulate that draft like we're talking about, the more you can gain on that next pack. You know, eventually a lot of these guys should start grouping up again. We should start getting bigger packs that overtake smaller packs, but you know, there's a lot of ground to be made up. So everybody's looking for a partner. You don't care if they're a lap down, same lap, 3 laps down. Find somebody to draft with.
Yeah, it definitely is. The one thing that I think Jeremy Horn has going for him with the 98 pushing him is they're the only two there. One lead lap car, one lap car pushing each other. You know, the 98 has no reason to try to force any issues with the 14 of Jeremy Horn. He's not battling for position. However, you look back at Charles Smith, who's got the 49 and pushing him and the 51 pushing him. You know, not only do they want to push him to get up there, they're also battling for position. Again, that is James Capehart and Paul Cohen. So they want to be in front of each other as well. So, you know, they're going to try to work with each other, but the question is, are they going to try to battle each other as well? Because that is for position.
Well, that's a real good question, too. With 50 laps to go, you wouldn't expect guys to be too worried about where they are in that line so much as just get in that single file line and get as fast as you can be. But it happens every time that we're out there racing. You know, you've got guys that just, you know, they want to be in the front, or we're faster if I'm in the front, or however that goes. And if you get that side-by-side racing like that, it just slows your group down.
Yeah, it does, and that's not what they want to see. Is it looks like they are going to kind of single file out here, so that's what they want to see. That's what the 12 of Charles Smith really wants to see. You know, these other guys, especially the 49 and the 51 behind him, they're a lap down. It doesn't matter to them if they push him or not. Their goal is to get back on the lead lap. And right now, the way they're running, the only way that's going to happen is with the caution. Either the caution come out and get the lucky dog, or just to stay out and get a wave around. So, you know, that's their goal, is to get back on the lead lap. Their goal is not to help push second place up to the leader. However, they were doing it for a second. He got down to 5 seconds, but now it's up to back to 6.149. So they have actually lost a little bit of time on your leader. Very interesting, but keeping that in mind, the 98 and the 14 are a lot closer, and they're actually staying right behind each other. They're actually working together a little bit better than I think those other three are.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they keep going 3 wide or passing each other. There is another way for these guys to get a lap back, Charles, and that's to catch that pack that's 6 seconds ahead of you. And if you've got a 3-car draft and you're the only one out there, you've got a good shot at doing that. Once you catch up with that pack, you know, you've got the opportunity in this draft to pass the leader and get that lap back that way. And then, you know, wait for a caution or something to come back out and tighten the field up.
Yeah, and I'm looking here. It's really, you know, you've got the 49 right now, James Capehart. He's staying fairly close to the 12. He is getting out a little bit to the side of him, but the 51 of Paul Cohen, he is really kind of all over back there. He's not staying right behind him. So if the 51 is the one that needs to tuck in, and once he tucks in, and gets right behind these guys and follows in their trail, he could do it. But I do see a little bit of damage to his left front, so you know, there's a chance he just can't suck the car down to the inside like they can.
Well, that's probably exactly it. A lot of times you get in the draft here and you can have some damage and not realize it's sitting in your car. You can't see it. If you're not running next to other cars and you don't realize that you're slowing them, it's hard to know that you've got damage, and you got a couple cars pushing you, yeah, you know, maybe it takes a while to figure out that the lead car is too slow, If you're the lead car, you don't want to get out of the lead. You're afraid you won't be able to keep up. But if you're the cars behind that guy that's slow, you want to shuffle him to the back real quick because he's slowing you down.
Yeah, and that's all kind of stuff here that these drivers have to deal with on a minute-by-minute basis. As we're on lap 53 of 100, take a look here. Jeremy Horn is still your race leader. We have had 0 cautions, obviously, for 0 laps. 47 to go, so we're over halfway done with 15 lead changes. That is crazy. We've had more lead changes than we have cars in the race right now. 12 drivers started the race. 12 drivers are in the race. So everyone that started is here, but we've actually had 15 different lead changes.
Yeah, well, that's pack racing for you, right? That's the ability to run 3 wide, 4 wide up there next to each other, and that draft pulling around that guy in front of you or getting a big run from behind him, being able to pull up beside him. Yeah,
and you know, you don't want to see a caution, but in a way it would be beneficial. You know, first place, Jeremy Horn right here, as we're watching him, he does not want to see a caution. However, the drivers behind him, they're saying somebody spin out, somebody see Sasquatch on the track, someone throw a water bottle, something. Let's get a caution and get bunched back up. If they get bunched back up, right now I do believe it's probably Jeremy Horn's race to lose, as he's got 7.65 seconds over Charles Smith. But like I said, if they get bunched back up, if we have a caution here in this race, that is going to change it once again, as it will really bunch this field up and become anybody's race to win again.
Well, we've got the 14 and Jermaine Horn here right now, and the 98. They've been working real good together here, getting around this track. We talked about the bigger your pack is, the faster you are. Well, they're catching up to another 3-car pack right now. So when they catch up to that pack, or if they're able to here, you know, they're definitely going to be hard to catch because of the biggest pack going around this track. Whereas if you're that pack again ahead of them, maybe you're getting a little bit tighter line and try to keep them from catching you. But I think that's too late.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll look to see who that is in that pack back there. Looks like the 3 of Jeff Dotson is one of them. Looks like the 72 of Jim Whaley, Juno, 72 of Stephen Leffler, is back there as well. So another thing you have to be worried about here is Stephen Leffler is a lead lap car back in 7th place, and the leader's about to put him a lap down. So another car fixing to go a lap down. And look what look here, the 49, or just probably not bad, the 98, not the 49, the 98. Take a look here. That is Noah Lewis. I think you might recognize what he's doing right now, Jeff.
Well, yeah. I don't know how much he's following them through traffic. You know, as he is, just find somebody that he can run with, get in line behind, and be fast and not lose that other lap. I was actually a little surprised this pack ahead of him. I expected them, because what's happened is the worst thing that could have happened for him is Jermaine Horn and Noah Lewis were able to get in that pack, and then Jermaine Horn drove right to the front and put everybody in that pack a lap down. You know, we see the 72 still fighting him, but I expected those guys to just kind of single file up, get in a straight line, and try to put some distance between the 14 and the 98. But that didn't happen.
No, it didn't, and I don't blame the 72 at all of Stephen Leffler. He was not a lap down. He is now, but he is fighting to stay on the lead lap, as right now he is the first car lap down. He's not giving that up without a fight, though. He's side by side. Again, earlier this would have been a battle for the lead. Now this is a battle to stay on the lead lap. As the 98 of Noah Lewis is really trying to push that 14 ahead. He'd love to put that car lap down, because if he can't officially put him down, he is a lap down right now. Now he's back on the lead lap. But if the 98 of Noah Lewis can push the 14 of Jeremy Horn in front of him officially and cut down in front of him, he'll gain a spot out of it. He'll actually take 7th place.
To put it the other way, and maybe it's too late now, but if the 98 could have worked with the 12 to get back by the 14, they'd both be on the lead lap. So all 4 of those cars behind the 14 can get their lap back by just getting ahead of them.
That is true. They could do that. So a bunch of different strategies you can think of. It looks like they're going to do it, but here comes the 72 going to work with Jeff Dotson. So Steven Leffler going to work with Jeff Dotson and try to get his lap back that way. So even though he is now passed, he is still not giving up once again. And Jeff Dotson right now is 3 laps down, so his night as far as the win is probably for the most part out of contention. Not 100%, but we only have 40 laps to go, so it's not the best shot of getting a win. So he's doing what he needs to do here, kind of push the 72 to stay on the lead lap, see if he can't get him a win.
Well, and then let's talk about something else that's interesting with this strategy, Charles. If a caution were to come out, one car gets a lucky dog or gets to trip around their lead lap, whoever the first one lap car down is right now. And so right now you've got the 98 who's helping Jermaine Horn there, the 14, and you've got the 72 outside of him is the one car lap down. So if that was to come out, the 98 wouldn't get that lucky dog. So again, I'm a little surprised that he's working with him there and not trying to help those other cars get around him. But we've got a battle there between the 72 and the 98 also to see who gets to be the first car lap down.
Yeah, and it literally is switching back and forth. Right now it's Steven Leffler who is the first car a lap down. And every great once in a while it's fixing to happen again. Noah Lewis will get by him. So they are trading spots left and right. Meanwhile, that's a battle for 5th position now, lap down. It was 7th, so they have gained some spots. But, every time these guys get there and battle, they don't have a whole lot of tire wear, but they are wearing them a little bit more. And if they would just get single file and get by the leader, they'd all be back on the lead lap. The 72, the 98, all these guys could work together, but I don't think the 98 has that in mind right now. He's definitely dead set on helping the leader. And I'm not sure they could possibly be teammates, and that's why he's choosing to take that route.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I'm sure there's something going on that has escaped us here a little bit, but there are so many dynamics at play in that little pack there. Can I be the lucky dog? Can I drive my lap back? What happens if a caution comes out? Who gets to be back on the lead lap? Do I have to take a wave around? All that's going on right now as those guys continue to just trade spots.
Yeah, it is such a dynamic field right now when you have the leader, a car a lap down, a car 3 laps down. So, they're all over the place as far as laps here. That it's just crazy. But, it goes to show you that it doesn't matter if you're on the lead lap or not. These guys know what they're doing, and their cars are fast. They just have had something that didn't go their way to put them that lap or multiple laps down. But it doesn't mean their car's slow at all.
And just a little bit of upkeep here. One more thing I want to point out is my pick here, Jason Allison's been on pit road for a couple minutes fixing some damage. So I'm not sure if he sustained some more damage after that initial pit accident or not. It appears that he might have. We missed it, but it looks like he might be out of contention here.
Yeah, he is now 5 laps down, and it must have just actually happened because we were talking about Steven Leffler and Noah Lewis were battling for 7th position a lap down. Now that battle is actually for 5th position 1 lap down. So something must have just recently happened. Actually, about 2 minutes ago, about when that happened, they started battling from 7th to 5th. So that would have been about the time that would have happened to him, as he maybe got into the wall or wrecked or something, as that did gain them that spot.
Yeah, and just to point out here too, we've got another 3-car pack, and we talked about cars being faster with the bigger packs. I'm looking at lap times here, and this 5-car pack we've been following here with Jermaine Horn. They're running high 38-second laps, 38.9. And so if we go back to maybe our other 3-car pack there, I think James Capehart and a couple other drivers in there, there's only 3 cars in that pack. They're running like 39 too. So we've got 3 to 4 tenths slower by having that 3-car pack versus that 5-car pack. And that's time that they're losing to that leader every lap.
Yeah. and you've got to get it in gear, and you really can't. It's interesting because those guys up front, they're not running in a single line. So if anybody, these three cars could get in a perfect line and just stay as close to that line as they could around the bottom, potentially, they could easily catch them because the front guys are not running 4 in a row. They're actually side by side, so it should be fairly easy to catch them, but it's not happening. It's just like nobody is really wanting to single file out and work a whole lot with each other right now. They're more concerned with actually gaining the position right there at hand and not the grand scheme of things. As it looks like Jim Whaley Jr. is going to come down pit road for his second pit stop, and so is Simon Thorns.
Well, we know that, again, this was going to be our second pit stop window here, about 34 laps each, we thought. So 68, 69, 70 would be when we'd expect those to start. So it could be interesting. Obviously, it didn't work out too well last time for the pack, but we're a little more spread out this time.
We are indeed. And we do have Jason getting to us in chat. He didn't get any damage when he entered at the entrance of pit. So just got tired of not working together. Three of us were losing one car by himself. So there you have it. Just what we were talking about. You got a group of cars, but they're not really working together a whole lot, and they're losing ground to the leader. So that's exactly what we were talking about.
Yeah, and that's what pack racing's all about. And you got to be willing to get in line, forget the places. We can fight those places. You can go to the back of a pack to the front of a pack in a lap or two. We can fight for that at the end. Let's single file up. Let's catch the line, ahead of us. Let's get back so we're in position to fight for those positions at the end of the race.
Yeah, and while these front guys here, your leader and these lap cars are not really working together per se, they kind of are. They are and they're not. As Jeremy Orrin he's putting the 72 of Stephen Leffler a lap down. Then he's back on the lead lap. Then he's a lap down. Then back on the lead lap again. It's just back and forth. As right now he's back on the lead lap, and here in a second he'll be back a lap down. So he's fighting to stay on the lead lap, and that's what he needs to do. Luckily, he does have somebody behind him to help him.
Well, again, if that caution comes out, only one of those cars is getting lucky dog, and we know that they need to pit. So it's not like taking a wave around is going to save you here. So I'm still a little surprised here that these guys aren't lining up and picking on the 14 here a little bit.
Yeah, indeed. And it's just going to be interesting to see who goes in first. I just don't know. I couldn't pick the strategy. I'm glad I'm up in the booth, but we may not know their strategy. Obviously, they've got some strategy going on. I'm with you. If it was me, I would team up the three cars that are a lap down and get single file and pass this leader and get my lap back. And that would be my strategy, but they definitely know something we don't know here, or at least think they know something we don't know.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot more going on out there. We're just watching from afar here, just talking about it. So, they're all on the radio together. They can all communicate with each other. So, I'm sure there's a factor that we haven't computed here a little bit. Although after reading Jason's comment there, maybe not.
Yeah, and definitely you want to work together. That's going to be key in any kind of pack racing, especially now. Is this time by 25 laps to go. That's all that remains here in the race. Right when they cross the line, as they're coming up on it here shortly, as they look to be in turn of. I thought they were in turn 4. That was turn 2, I believe. Again, they're going so fast around these corners, it is hard to see the wall to see what corner they're in. But I believe they're in corner 3 at the moment. So we'll see again. This time at the line, it's going to be lap 76 started, so 25 laps to go as they're out of turn 4. And right there, 25 laps to go.
Well, and so here's another thing to consider. We've got these cars now that are going 33, 34 laps on each stint. We've seen a couple cars already pit. We know that watching these cars do those first round of pit stops with 40-second pit stops, most of that time is probably spent on fuel, getting that fuel back in the car. So, you know, it could be a scenario where we've got some guys that are trying to calculate how much fuel they need. Maybe we'll see a group pit together, and maybe we'll see some guys make some bad calculations, or we might see some fuel games here anyways that could shake up these pits, maybe even this big pack we've got here.
Yeah, and what I'm keeping a close eye on is, right now I really want to pay attention to this, is you have this group of cars. You have the leader. You have cars that are a lap down, multiple lap downs, all battling. Keeping in mind old tires. The tires don't wear that much, but they are old, and somewhere is it's wear on these tires, regardless of whether it's a little or a lot. It could cause a caution. You look at the charts right now, there's only 2 cars on the lead lap, and that's first and second.
Yeah, and it seems like that might be by choice here a little bit, watching this group race that we've got here. So, you know, we've seen that the tires wear. Yes, they wear. Maybe the car's going to push a little bit, but we're also looking at Jermaine Horn here with 37 laps on these tires, and he hasn't lost any time. He really hasn't. He's still going around. Well, a couple laps ago he was right there, but he's still running in that the low 39s, the high 38s. So these guys are still wide open. You know, tires just aren't affecting it that much.
No, they're not. Again, fastest obviously was due to drafting, but like you said, tires are not a factor here, so these guys are not having to worry about it. And they're also trying to push it to the limit here, 38 laps in this stint. So, you know, they have got to be concerned about pitting soon, as probably here within the next 2 to 3 laps, they're going to be running on fumes. If our math is correct, I don't guarantee it by any means. So it could be interesting.
Well, yeah, we think we've got somewhere in the vicinity of 40 laps. You know, so they're going to come in and put half a fuel load in, which should cut that pit time way down. You know, the other thing you got to wonder then is, I don't know how long it takes to take 4 tires in these cars, but maybe we're going to see some guys not take tires. Maybe we'll see these 40-lap tires come back out for another 20 laps.
Yeah, and getting in here, I'm assuming Jason Allison is referring to Jeremy Horn. If he is, he said he didn't take tires on his first stop either. So he has got really old tires. If it is Jeremy Horn, as he's coming down the pit road.
Oh, all by himself too.
That is going to be interesting, and we want to stay on him for just a minute here, as everyone else is going to try to get their lead lap back here. As 3 cars will do it, or 2 cars are going to do it. Steven Leffler and Noah Lewis back on the lead lap. We'll see. We won't see if we'll see if the car gets jacked up at all, or if he's just going to get a splash of fuel. But right now, he's on his, actually in his pit stall here for 5 seconds, going on 6-7. So he is not getting that car lifted up, so he may not take tires again this time either.
It doesn't look like he's taking tires. And, you know, I'm watching these 4 cars that kind of let him pit by himself. So, you know, these 4 guys need to work together. They need to come in, pit together, go out together. Maybe they got a shot to get back to him.
He did, and he only pitted for 20.8 seconds, so half the fuel.
Oh, we got the 98 going around right there at the entrance of pit road.
Well, that is not good, but he does get it going back the right direction as he's on pit road. These cars are getting really filthy out there, too. As look who's back on pit road, but he is still the leader. That is Charles Smith. He led 16 laps, and he's the leader right now. But second place is Jeremy Horn, as it looks like he is going to regain the lead here. We'll have to see. Looks like it's going to be a battle. Charles Smith, how long is he going to be on pit road? He is not taking tires either. Right now, 12 seconds on pit road. As now Jeremy Horn officially is going to take the lead back.
Yeah, we can assume that Jeremy Horn just took the amount of fuel that was needed to finish this race and probably didn't take tires, so can't imagine anybody's going to be able to do it much quicker than he did at 20.7 seconds.
Well, definitely not, except for Charles Smith. As we're looking at him, he was only on pit road for 14.6 seconds, but even that wasn't enough to save him from keeping the lead. He did lose it. Even that, Mark Koshik, we haven't talked about him a whole lot this race. He wasn't in there. He is back on the lead lap. He once again, everybody but the top two were on lap down. He's sitting in third. He only was there for 13.1 seconds, so he took even less fuel.
He pitted 20 laps ago, Charles. So he came in early. He was the first guy to pit that second fuel cycle, and if we can go 40 laps, he would have pit around lap 60. So he may have enough to go there on this run. It
is indeed, yes. I just now noticed that he has 21 laps on those tires. So, yeah, that you are correct. He's led one lap. So, it'd be interesting to see if he can lead one more. All he's got to do is lead that last lap. And he does have fairly old tires, but like you said, they don't wear a whole lot. So, tire wear is not a factor. But Jeremy Horn, he has led 57 laps. He's pitted back out on the track, and look who he's got pushing him once again, the 98.
Again, I was going to say, the only chance these guys have now is to hang him out to dry and get grouped up and not let him catch this lead pack that looks like they're kind of getting here together with the John Estes there at the tail end of it. But that's pretty much out the window, I think, with the 98 car they're pushing him of Noah Lewis. I got a feeling they're going to catch up to these guys.
Yeah, Noah Lewis is definitely. If we get a chance, we might have to ask Jeremy Horn here in the post-race show if they're teammates, because he is stuck to him like glue right now. He is not leaving him one bit. He is right there behind him. So it would be interesting to see if they are. That would explain a lot. But he is. If we're looking, Noah Lewis is the first car a lap down. So, in the grand scheme of things, with 16 laps to go, I don't know if he could really gain a whole lot from passing the 14. He would be back on the lead lap, but he would have quite a bit here to get up to Jim Whaley Jr. To catch up with him, as it looks like he has about a 4.8 second gap.
Well, without a caution, you're right. There's probably not a lot that can be done by passing him now. However, if he was to get ahead of him and that caution came out, that's back on the lead lap.
It is true. So a lot of strategy going on. There's just two strategies he can pick from: stay behind and just help him, push him, and pick people off if he puts him a lap down, or try to pass him, get back on the lead lap, and earn it back that way. And it's just two strategies, and he's picking the one right now where he's just going to kind of hang behind the leader, push him, and gain spots that way. So, again, just a bunch of different strategies to pick from, and he's picking the one that he wants to use here.
Well, I'm going to go with their probably teammate strategy. And once he's got a lap down, he's working to make sure that his teammate stays up there.
Yeah,
that's the one that makes the most sense to me right now.
It definitely makes the most sense, and if he's doing a really good job of helping his teammate. That is definitely a team player, someone I'd want on my team. You're a lap down, just push it. Don't worry about getting the lead, and we may see here on the last lap, he may let him by so he can finish on the lead lap. Not that it would do him a whole lot, but we'll see. If he does, I would be willing to bet they are teammates, but we'll find out here in the post-race show, as it looks like unless something drastic happens, will get to interview Jeremy Horn here for the win. But we're not going to call that yet. We still have 12 laps, and that's plenty of time for anything to happen.
Yeah, we've still got 12 laps. Although the way we've seen these guys wheeling it, and the way we've seen these tires staying there, and we don't have a lot of tight packs going on right now. the chances of a caution coming out are getting slimmer by the minute. Yeah, you know, in those packs, if we're fighting for position, maybe we can get some good aggressive racing there at the end. And as I say that, I'm watching another pack here go 2-3 wide right now with the the 33 of Mark Koshik in it, and the 72 of Jim Whaley. So looks like they're battling for position right now.
Yeah, and looking here, I believe that is Jim Whaley Jr. in the 46. I really want to know where he got his rims from, because they've got to be glowing. Those things look like they are glowing here at the, looks like, I believe it's partly cloudy here. But those are some really bright green rims. So, you know, it's a really nice looking paint job for him as well. So I'm kind of curious how he got them that bright, because those are very, very bright.
Yeah, that's a color I didn't know that you could make in the garage there. Definitely some bright rims.
It is,
and
indeed.
look right behind them too. We've got our leader in that little bit larger pack. Looks like they're running them down there a bit. Jermaine Horn and those guys are running about a half-second lap faster than these guys, and they're only about 4 seconds behind them.
Yeah, and he could very well catch them before this race is over. They just got the lap back too, with all that pit stops. As they are trying to run him down. Mark Koshik in the 33 is the last car on the lead lap. Jim Whaley Jr. right there with him. So as far as battle goes, that's probably the biggest battle we have going on, and that's a battle for third position. I believe third or fourth position. So we have, yes, third position, Stephen Leffler, Jim Whaley Jr., and Mark Koshik. So that is currently third, fourth, and fifth. So that is the only real battle we have going on for position. But they're really not battling each other. They're actually trying to work with each other to get up to the leader.
Yeah, I think you're at that point now when you're, if you're more than about 10 seconds behind, you're probably fighting for position right now. With 7 laps to go, you're kind of just probably not going to get around the track to catch the leader.
Yeah, definitely not going to happen to this point. But those guys are battling right there. And up front, still leading 66 laps so far, with 8 laps to go on the track right now. It's still all about Jeremy Horn, and he is doing a fantastic job of leading this race. He's obviously led the most laps, and unless, you know, well, there is no way. Nobody can lead more laps than him so far. He has definitely dominated this race.
Yeah, he's been out front. You know, I think we saw early on there that you know, we had some battles with him in the 72 car there early in the race, and then we saw the 72 battle him pretty tightly there after the accidents there going on the pit road, put him a lap down, trying to stay on that lead lap. But aside from that, Jermaine Horn's just pretty much driven right through traffic, stayed out in front of all the packs, and led the whole race.
He has indeed. It looked like Jeff Dodson was having some connection issues there. As he was blinking there just a little bit, he does get it all straightened out. So he has got the connection a little bit better there. With 6 laps to go, going to be 5 at the line. You know, it doesn't look like either one of our picks are going to win the race here. Charles Smith obviously going to be finishing in second if he stays where he's at. So that is the highest of our picks here. Unfortunately, Jason Allison out of the race, just pulling it into the pits, wasn't being able to move forward, just not enough teamwork, you might call it. Not really teammates here, just not enough working going on. You couldn't catch the leader, just going to go laps down. There was no point in staying out there racing.
I regret nothing. My pits, my pick is he's going to finish this race in chat with us here. iBogco in chat is Jason Allison there, the 28, who I had picked anyways.
Yeah, definitely a good pick. He was fast, just not able to finish the race. But you know, that's good news for us over here at MaxSpeedTV. That means he might be working on the overlays, but that's just me being me. But no, he's a good racer. He definitely had a shot here. Had some stuff not happening on pit road. Like you said, he didn't get any damage on there. but I'm sure it did slow him up a little bit as he was trying to avoid not getting any damage. So that was probably the worst incident we've seen here as far as almost getting a caution, but that was all on pit road, so you know it wasn't going to bring out a caution anyway on pit road.
Well, and then the other thing is too, once this pack got spread out, it's pretty hard to have the discipline to just go out there and turn 70 laps by yourself on this track. When your tires aren't wearing and it's not getting any tougher, and you're not in a pack of cars, so you're not working to catch up to somebody, or you're not racing each other, to just go out there and drive by yourself for 70 laps. So probably make you rip your hair out sometimes. So I think he chose not to do that.
He did indeed. And we're sitting here watching our leader. Look who he's caught. He has caught Jim Whaley Jr., Stephen Leffler, and I believe that may be Charles Smith in there. We'll see. I'm not sure. I don't think it is. Mark Koshik in there. So he's caught these three. And now look at the 98 jumping ship. He's now moved on to start pushing Jim Whaley Jr. to keep him on the lead lap.
Well, what we've done here with the 98 is he's caught some cars that are on the same lap as him. And so I think he's left his partner here to go try to get some places.
Yeah, and you can't believe him.
Position.
Oh, and we got a car to the outside wall. Not sure who it was or if they recovered from it somehow. Somebody hit that outside wall hard there, but I think they recovered from it.
Not sure who that was. Haven't seen it yet. But it looks like we've got some pretty good battles for position up front here in this pack.
We do indeed, as you have your leader as 1 lap to go there. Again, 1 lap to go. That's all that remains here. As you have your leader pushing the 72 of Stephen Leffler right now. So he's actually pushing for 3rd place. So 1st place pushing 3rd place. So that is not something you see every day.
Yeah, and we've got the 98 here working with the 72 to get another position here as he gets by... we've got a big wreck behind these guys.
3-car wreck, but that's not going to matter as your leader's trying to avoid all of it right now. And a correction, that wasn't the leader pushing, that was the 98 pushing him. But it doesn't matter. Jeremy Horn is going to win it. So your race winner here, Jeremy Horn. 2nd place will be Charles Smith. And 3rd place going to Jim Whaley Jr.
Yeah, as they battled it out there at the end for the podium positions.
A very interesting finish there. Several cars getting together there at the very end. But it's just an exciting race here. We actually went caution-free for that entire race.
Oh, and right there at the finish line, Noah Lewis got by Jim Whaley Jr. So, nice little battle there to bring it across. And you're absolutely right. All these cautions didn't result in anybody spinning out on the track or in front of the leaders.
Yeah, indeed. And, yeah, you just caught that. I reported Jim Whaley Jr. finished 3rd, but it's actually Stephen Leffler finished 3rd. So they were all in that wreck. So they had actually were in a certain position, but they got it going. So they changed position by the time they got to the line. You know, it was a good battle, but once they were wrecked, kind of changed it up. So we'll go ahead and step away here for just a minute. We'll put up your results here so you can see exactly where everybody finished. We're going to be right back here in just a moment with the post-race show. So give us just about 2 minutes and we'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here with your post-race show. And again, we are caught up with third place, the 72 of Stephen Leffler. And I believe Jeff has caught up with him. So, Jeff, we will hand it off to you.
Hey, Stephen Leffler, you got a copy?
Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing? Congratulations on a hard-fought third place. I watched you sit there in side draft for so many laps there. Jeremy Horn trying to stay on that lead lap. I saw you get involved in an incident there when you looked like you were getting in the pit road. A bunch of cars spun. You got a lap down. You got your lap back on some other green flag pit stops. You battled hard to keep it. So we had a fun time watching you out there. Why don't you go ahead and just kind of walk us through that race?
Yeah, the first half of the race actually went pretty well. I was surprised that I got a good jump off the start, got up there and was battling with Jeremy, running 1-2, and my car seemed to like the outside line, so I stuck it out there instead of falling behind on the inside, and then I dropped back a couple laps before we came in the pit, and I didn't think Noah was going to come down and pit in the 98, and he came down and he locked him up because there was a car sideways on the entrance, so I tapped the brakes, and I probably hit him just a little too hard, spun out, went across the grass, and then cut back through. I thought I made the cone, but I guess I was on the wrong side. I wasn't paying attention, obviously. Got a 15-second penalty, so that really set me back from that pit stop. But from then on, I was just trying to stay on the lead lap, and it seemed like once I caught back up to Jeremy, I can hang with him on the outside, and like I said, my car was really liking it out there. So I just stuck it out there on the outside, and I mean, 3 wide on this track is pretty impossible with these cars. It's hard to do, so I figured if I kept it on the outside of him, no one could pass me. I'd stay in that lucky dog, or, you know, if I got lucky, be able to stay in front of Jeremy if a caution came out, which it never did. But went ahead and did it on that last stop, took no tires, and that kind of got me back up ahead of him by, I think it was like 6 seconds or so. But them last maybe 5 or 6 laps were they were a battle.
Yeah, so once it got spread out, how important was it to find a group of cars that you could run with there and like you said, maybe stay in front of that leader?
Yeah, it was tough. I know I was behind Jeff at one point, but he had damage, so I got around him fairly easy. And then I was kind of a sit and duck until they caught me. But I mean, when I came out of the pits, I was 16 seconds behind I think it was the 6th place car at the time. I was running 7th. I mean, I came out way behind them, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. So the only thing I can do is just sit and wait for them to catch me, and then I'd have to time it just to where I can get in behind them or stay right beside them and side draft.
Yeah, the side draft too. I saw it looked like you were doing quite a bit of side draft. And that's not easy to do. And I saw you do that for a lot of laps. We were talking about how running around, you know, on the outside lane, usually you've got to have a few more cars in line in order to hang there. But you were able to hang there with nobody behind you. How big was the side draft in these cars, and how hard was that?
With these cars, it's not too bad. But you got to stay right up next to him. I know there's a couple times where me and Jeremy actually bumped side by side. But, I mean, as long as you keep, you know, right off that groove and stay within a close enough distance, you can keep it right next to him or at least somewhat close to him to keep the side draft going.
All right. Well, congratulations again on that 3rd place finish there, Jim. Do you have any shout-outs, mom, friend, sponsors, anybody you want to say hi to?
Yeah, of course, I'd like to thank you guys for being able to broadcast this. Everyone at the league, Jeff, Gomez, Jeremy, my family back in California, and then, of course, my family here, my wife, my 2 kids, and then all my friends at work, if they're up watching.
All right. Well, thanks, Jim. We're going to go ahead and pass this down to Charles, who's with Charles. Charles, our announcer, with Charles, the 2nd place finisher.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Charles, a commentator that helps out from time to time with Rudy, if this is the same Charles.
Yes, it is.
So, we have Charles the racer, Charles the broadcaster, Charles the commentator. We got lots of Charleses going on around here. But you finished in 2nd tonight. I personally picked you for the win. You came up just a little bit short, but overall, 2nd place is something to be proud of. It is a podium finish, so you can't be disappointed in it. But coming into the race, did you expect to finish as high as you did, or did you think you really had a car that could have got the win?
Well, with these races, the way how close it is with the draft, it's really hard to tell. You could be fast, but if you have nobody to draft with, then you can't really do nothing.
Yeah, it definitely seemed to be draft. We established earlier the tires didn't really have that much of a play in it. So how much was pit strategy as far as fuel, pitting with somebody, without somebody? How much did that play into your mindset when you were making pit stops here?
Yeah, well, at that first pit stop, I was originally wanting to pit with Jeremy, but when I seen how many cars were going, I was like, that's going to be disaster. So I'm just going to go around another lap. But I think that's also what put me behind, why I wasn't able to keep up with Jeremy.
Well, definitely, I'm not sure if anybody had anything for him. He had a very dominant run here. I believe he led almost 70 laps, if not over 70 laps. Had we had a caution, we had 0 cautions here. Outstanding race on everyone, except for that little mishap on pit road. Not sure what all happened there. But had we had a caution and you were able to catch back up to the back bumper of Jeremy, you think you could have given him a run for his money?
Oh, definitely.
Well,
without a doubt.
In that case, maybe we should add a caution. Maybe we should redo this and throw one out there. But, it just goes to show, how good y'all are and how these cars, how well they handle. To go caution-free from green to checkered, that's 100 laps nonstop. I am just curious here before we get to your sponsors and stuff. How much does it wear you out as far as physically, even though it's a simulator, to run 100 laps at a 2-mile track nonstop?
Well, here it wasn't really that bad. If anything, it was just your gas pedal foot. That's about it. It really mine started going numb after about 60 laps or so.
Well, it definitely not one of the short tracks. This would be a little bit different, I'm sure. Having one of these little tiny tracks. This track is fairly big, kind of like a Daytona for these cars. But any sponsors or just shout-outs you want to give for that solid second-place finish here tonight?
Yeah, I'm just thanking everybody that comes out and race, and of course you guys for broadcasting.
All right, well, again, congrats on second place. And looks like Jeff has caught up with our leader, so we'll hand it back over to you, Jeff.
Jeremy Orn, you got me?
Yeah, I got you, Jeff.
Hey, congratulations. This is my second race with you guys and the second time I've gotten to interview you, so I think you've got these vets figured out on these ovals. You led almost 70 laps tonight. You had, I'm not sure if you got caught up in that incident getting in the pit road or if you were able to dodge everybody safely there. And then even at one point, I think you had all but the 12 car of Charles Smith a lap down. So you dominated this race tonight. Why don't you go ahead and just kind of walk us through your race?
Yeah, it was a good race all in all. I mean, the car was great. Didn't have to change tires at all tonight, so that made things a little bit easier because these things can be a bear in pit road and be real lengthy stops when you take tires. But I was lucky enough that I missed that first incident. I was on the bottom. I was the lead car on the bottom, and I just kept watching in my mirror, and I'm sitting here going, oh my goodness. Everybody was sideways. I was like, man, if one of them slide and hit me, I was like, it's gonna be bad. But I was able to get out and have a pretty hefty lead. I think I had a 6-second lead when I came out of the pits, and caught up with Noah. And Noah was a real good helper tonight. I knew that I didn't have a chance out there by myself. And I told Noah, I was like, just stay behind me and you'll be set up for the lucky dog. And when we get up here and run these guys, it's like, we'll just try to stay together and stay in a pack. And it ended up working well for him. I think he ended up getting 4th out of all of it. But it was a crazy last couple laps. I rolled out of it once I had gotten Noah up there to those guys he was racing with. I told Jeff to go low, and I rolled out of the throttle because I was afraid something was going to happen. And I had about a 17-second lead at the time, and sure enough, coming out of the 4, they did, and I still about got caught up in it, even being about half a second off that pack.
Yeah, you brought up something there that we hit on a lot in the broadcast. It was pretty clear that you and Noah were working together, and for a while we were trying to guess if you guys were teammates. But once everybody got spread out, I think you were probably about the only one that we noticed that actually had cut a deal with somebody and was working on with somebody lap after lap on pit stops, working together, not trying to pass each other. How big of an advantage was that?
That's a big advantage. I know CB and I believe Simon, they tried to leapfrog one another, but you can never tell in these cars. Sometimes on some tracks the leapfrog will work and sometimes it wouldn't. So I just got to deal with Noah and said, hey, look, stay behind me. If a caution comes out, then you'll be lucky dog. There won't be anything hurt. And I said, when we get up to these guys, when we caught up to Leffler and all of them, I was telling the guys on TeamSpeak, I was like, I don't care to run too wide. It doesn't really slow your pace down any, as long as we've got at least 4 cars and we can both have somebody beside of us. And yeah, I think it really helped them. They were able to stay up, and then they ended up getting back on the lead lap when I rolled out there, going into 1 on the last lap. And from the way it sounds, they had a heck of a finish for 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah, there was a pretty good finish there, just about 3 wide going across the finish line at the end. But yeah, going back to that previous, prior to that green flag stop there, when you caught these guys and started putting them a lap down, we were a little bit surprised that they didn't just gang up on you and drive their lap back. So kudos to Noah for working that close with you, and congratulations on that great finish. One thing I want to hit on here before we let you get to your shout-outs, though, is Steven Leffler. You guys, I don't know how many laps you guys turned side by side. You did it early in the race. Before those pit stops, the first set of pit stops, you did it later in the race when you were trying to put them a lap down. Have you guys run a lot of plate tracks together or something? I was really surprised at how close you were able to drive next to each other and for how long.
Yeah, Steven, he and CB both, they had a real dominant car tonight. And, Steven's always been a clean driver. We've always raced well together. So I knew having him on the outside, there wasn't a whole lot to worry about. I know we got into each other, a couple times, but that's expected when you have the draft and the air coming into play. But, I mean, honestly, with plate driving, as long as you're not slam drafting somebody, and trying to, go way down on their door, it's not that difficult, especially at a place like Michigan, because you don't really get loose in the GT1 coming off 2 and coming off 4. So mainly, I mean, it all amounts to, on any plate track, as long as the low guy can keep his car settled coming off the corners, and as long as, the guy on the outside doesn't pull too far on the door and pull him around, then you pretty much can run side by side about anywhere.
It was pretty impressive driving to see you guys go that long without really getting in each other too much or any cautions coming out. Congratulations once again on a dominating performance. I'm going to ask you here if you've got anybody that you want to thank or give a shout out to or anything like that. And I sure hope that 98 and Noah Lewis is on that list for you.
Yeah, Noah for sure, for being a good sport tonight and helping me out there, and just knowing that we could work well together. Thank my wife and my son for letting me doing this. Thank CB, Jeff Gomez, and everybody over at RTRL for putting this thing on. And thank you guys, Jeff Charles and MaxSpeedTV for broadcasting this for us. It's it's kind of a cool thing to let everybody go on and have your family and friends that can't be over to watch it firsthand to be able to see everything online.
All right. Well, thanks again, Jeremy. And I've got to admit to messing your name up again in this race. I don't know what it is. It's a pretty easy name, but when you watch it, just know that I'm sorry again. And with that, we'll pass it back to Charles to wrap this thing up.
All right. Well, getting right to your race results here for the night. Again, unofficial race results, barring any race control issues or anything like that. Coming away with the win is Jeremy Horn in the number 14. In second is the number 12 of Charles Smith. Third place, the number 72 of Steven Leffler. Fourth place will go to the 98 of Noah Lewis. And rounding out your top 5 here tonight is going to be Jim Whaley Jr. In sixth place is going to be the 57 of Simon Thorne. Seventh place, the 33 of Mark Koshik. In eighth place, the 3 of Jeff Dotson. In ninth place, the 51 of Paul Cohen. And rounding out your top 10 here tonight is the 49 of James Capehart. 11th place will go to the 80 of John Estes. 12th place will go to the 28 of Jason Allison. And the lone driver not starting here tonight in 13th is the 03 of Rudy Cummings, who just wasn't feeling good, so he did not start the race. Had a fast car in practice, but just feeling under the weather. So hopefully, Rudy, you will start feeling better soon. But that'll do it here for the race results. We want to give a big shout out to all the sponsors, of course, that make all of this possible here on MaxSpeedTV. WallsBeardCo.com. Make sure you check them out for all your beard products. SimSpeedShop.com. If you're looking to get a button box or a great looking e-brake there for your rallycross racing, make sure you check them out at SimSpeedShop.com. HomeNet Hosting and PC Repair. Make sure you check these guys out for your web hosting if you need to get a website up for your league or anything else you need one for. Definitely check them out for some PC repair. If you let them know you heard about it here on MaxSpeedTV, they'll give you a month free and waive your fees to get that website started. And Elite 7 Racing, they are the official dirt team of MaxSpeedTV. Make sure you check them out at Elite7Racing.com. And last but not least is Ohio IndyCar League. We not only have them as a sponsor, but we also broadcast them starting tonight, so make sure you check them out as well. But as always, on behalf of RTRL and MaxSpeedTV, we'll see you at the next race here tomorrow night.